G'day, the video we've got today is going to be foreign foods that are banned in the US. Let's jump in and let's have a look at this one.
To state the obvious, Americans love food. And in the US, you can buy anything imaginable at restaurants.
The only one, before we get into the video, the only one that I know of is haggis. I was born in Scotland. I eat haggis, delicious food. That's the only one I think is that I know of is banned in America. Okay, let's see if that's on the list today.
Restaurants, farms, markets, and other stores. Well,
Damn.
almost anything. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration has banned many foods from being sold or eaten in the United States for various reasons. So, today, we're going to take a look at some foreign foods that are not allowed.
Haggis already in there. Grant Premium Haggis. That's delicious.
In the USA. But before we get started, be sure to subscribe to the Weird History Food channel. After that, please leave a comment and let us know what other funky food topics you would like to hear about. Now, let's take an illicit trip on the wild side of food.
Haggis.
Scotland is known for a number of wonderful things, like Scotch whiskey, bagpipes, and Sean Connery. But it's also known for eating haggis.
Haggis? What is haggis?
Haggis, for those who don't know, is a type
Delicious.
of pudding composed of the liver, heart, and lungs of a sheep, mixed with beef and oatmeal, then seasoned with onions, cayenne peppers, and other spices.
It is delicious.
This mixture is then packed into a sheep's stomach and boiled.
How revolting!
This might not sound appetizing to everyone, but Scottish people are really into it.
I love it.
In fact, haggis is the national dish of Scotland, and if you get it there, it's usually accompanied by turnips and mashed potatoes. Americans who like haggis, however, are out of luck, because haggis is currently banned from being imported into the United States. The U.S. banned all foods that are made from animal lungs in 1971.
So it's the lungs. Okay.
Since then,
Okay.
Scotland has made several efforts to influence the U.S. into lifting the ban on haggis and changing federal food safety regulations, but they've come up short each time. Too bad Sean Connery isn't around to ask them. Sometimes the U.S. bans foods for health concerns about the dish itself, but there are other reasons John Q. Law might stop you from enjoying a particular meal. For example, to protect an endangered species.
Okay, I can
Such
understand
is the case
that.
with beluga caviar.
Yeah.
Caviar is, of course, fish eggs. Beluga caviar comes from the beluga sturgeon, which is the largest of the sturgeons, weighing more than 2,000 pounds and measuring more than 15 feet long. It can take up to 25 years for the female beluga.
Isn't it? Is it the best one come from Russia? I think I heard. Let me know in the comment section.
Beluga to mature and produce eggs. Beluga caviar varies in color from light to dark gray and is the largest grain caviar. Their pearls are the most delicate and have a mild, buttery flavor. In 2005, however, the United States banned beluga caviar from further import due to overfishing.
I've had caviar. I don't think I've ever had the fancy stuff. I think it was salmon. I think it was salmon caviar.
The U.S. was consuming about 60% of the world's beluga caviar,
Wow.
which is considered the Rolls-Royce of caviar due to costing $200 per ounce. In fact,
Per ounce. That's 28 grams. That's ridiculous.
beluga caviar was so desirable that the available stock declined by 90%. Overfishing of the beluga can mostly be traced back to poaching in the black market, but that's just academic now. The bottom line is, no beluga caviar for Americans anymore.
A plum?
So as we've seen, the U.S. might ban a food for
A plum?
being
Okay.
unsafe, or because it derives from a species at risk. But there's yet another reason a food might be banned: trading concerns. Take the
Okay.
Mirabelle plum, which is the small, oval-shaped and dark yellow fruit grown on the Mirabelle plum tree. It's sweet and full of flavor, and is used in fruit preserves and dessert pies. The fruit can mostly be found in France, where 70% of the world's Mirabelle production occurs. The production of the Mirabelle plum has been supported since 1996 by a protected geographical indication to help guarantee its authenticity. The protected origin designation makes it illegal to import or commercially sell the plums in the U.S. That being said, regular folks can grow them on their own property, as long as you don't try to sell them.
Oh, I don't think I've ever heard of them before. Okay. Unpasteurized milk, I can understand. Yeah. Okay.
Unpasteurized milk, or raw milk, is milk that comes directly from an animal's udder and hasn't been heat treated or pasteurized to kill any bacteria. Sounds great, right?
Oh, indeed it does.
Well, it may not be. Raw milk carries a higher risk of being contaminated with harmful bacteria that causes foodborne illnesses than pasteurized milk does. Children
I know a lot of people who drink raw milk and continue to drink it have drunk it since they've been a child. You know, so it's not just something new that they've picked up.
in particular are at a higher risk for these diseases because their immune systems have not yet fully developed. The FDA banned the interstate sale or distribution of raw milk in the U.S., but states are able to adopt their own laws of the sale of raw milk. Given the risk, you might think that states would want to stop people from drinking the stuff, but not so much. In fact, drinking and consuming unpasteurized milk is 100% legal in all 50 states. That being said, only 13 states allow the sale of raw milk in retail stores. Of the other 37,
Oh, wow. You can actually buy it in the store? Okay.
20 states prohibit the sale of raw milk, and 17 states allow the sale of raw milk on the farm in which it was produced. And at the very least, many of the states that allow the selling of raw milk require a warning label informing consumers about the risk of pathogens that can be found in the milk. There is currently something of a movement in the United States to consume organic and locally grown foods. Some believe that raw milk is more nutritious and provides good bacteria for the body. Sassafras oil is extracted from the dried root bark of the sassafras tree. The tree,
I've never heard of that before. Okay.
in case you want to go looking for one, stands anywhere from 20 to 40 feet tall, with slender branches and orange and brown colored bark. The leaves are oval and can grow to 3 to 7 inches long, and the flowers are small and of a greenish or yellow color. Historically speaking, sassafras has played a big role in various cultures around the world. For example, many Native American tribes use it for various medicinal purposes, including to help with acne, urinary disorders, and fevers. It can also be found in Chinese medications to help treat rheumatism and trauma. The twigs from the plant were once used as toothbrushes, and sassafras was also used as an early anesthetic and disinfectant. Not only that, but sassafras was found in many distinct foods in the U.S., and it was known as a key ingredient in many root beers and teas.
Is that where sarsaparilla comes from? Interesting. Sassafras.
Sounds pretty useful, right? Well, don't start celebrating just yet. The FDA prohibits all sassafras bark, oil, and saffrole as flavorings or food additives. Sassafras is no longer considered safe for human consumption.
Wow. I wonder what research stumbled on the fact that, it's no good for us. I don't think that's where sarsaparilla comes from, but it'll let me know. Okay.
It was actually banned all the way back in 1979 after research linked it to cancer. Also, when too much sassafras oil is consumed, poisoning could possibly occur. The ortolan is a small, colorful bird in the bunting family, a category that also includes American tree sparrows. Once upon a time, in a faraway land called France, the ortolan was a chief ingredient in a highly controversial meal. The recipe
I was going to say, what food is that? But obviously,
called for the bird to be cooked for 8 minutes and served with a head attached. The bird was then meant to be eaten whole, including the head and bones. Due to its rarity, the killing and selling of the ortolan was banned in France in the 1990s. But that didn't stop poachers who continued to catch the small bunting and sell it to local restaurants.
That's disgusting.
In fact, the law was so inconsequential that France's League for the Protection of Birds claimed that the ortolan population dropped 30% even after the ban was enacted. This forced the government to enact more stringent enforcement in 2007. But the killing of the rare bird is less controversial than the barbaric way in which it is killed. It starts with the birds being trapped during their migratory season and kept in covered cages. Since the ortolan eats more at night, covering the cages cruelly tricks them into gorging on grain, even to the point where their bodies double in size. This is a less gruesome variation on an alleged ancient practice in which the bird's eyes would be plucked out, fooling them into thinking it was night so that they would eat more. Either way, once the ortolans are fattened up, they're thrown, still alive mind you, into a vat of Armagnac, which both drowns and marinates them. France now strictly enforces the ban on killing ortolans.
That's terrible.
In fact, the killing, cooking, or smuggling of the bird anywhere in the European Union or the United States is currently a crime.
Oh my God. The eating and the gorging sounds like what's that pate that they have? But yeah, that's terrible. Eating the bird with the head and everything. Oh,
Casu
that's
marzu,
terrible.
translated into English, means rotten cheese.
Oh, I've heard about this cheese. It's even you can't even have it on public transport or anything.
And if that doesn't sound horrible enough
got
to you already,
maggots.
then allow us to point out that it's also known as maggot cheese.
Oh,
Now you're probably thinking something like, okay, it has a disgusting
Oh.
name, but it's just a name, right? Well, this Sardinian cheese is typically soaked in brine, smoked, and then left to ripen in a cheese cellar. So far, so good. But then cheesemakers set it outside, uncovered, allowing cheese
who was the first one that got this cheese and go, you know what? I got a cheese full of maggots. I'm going to try it. And then thought, it's delicious. It's absolutely delicious. Maybe it is. Maybe it's got a really strong flavor. I don't know. If you know, let me know. Maybe it's sweet. Who knows? That sounds disgusting.
teasing flies to lay eggs inside it. The eggs hatch into maggots,
Oh.
which start feeding on the cheese. The maggots produce enzymes that promote fermentation and cause fats within the cheese to decompose. The cheese becomes super soft and leaves a burn on the tongue when eaten. Local Sardinians say the cheese is only good when the maggots are still moving. If the
Oh, my. That is, oh, come on.
maggots are dead, then the cheese has gone bad and is too toxic for consumption. Casu
Too toxic for consumption.
marzu is not in compliance with European Union hygienic standards.
Yikes.
Movies
fins.
like
Okay.
1975's Jaws make it seem like humans have a lot to fear from
The old shark fin soup.
sharks. But in reality, the reverse is far more true. In fact, finning, the act of cutting off a shark's fin, is one of the greatest threats that sharks face. It's so dangerous because after a shark is finned, it's thrown back in the sea where it may drown, bleed to death,
Yep.
or be eaten by other animals. Unfortunately, for those who want to protect the sharks, there is still a large market for shark fins to make shark fin soup, which is a popular and luxurious Asian dish.
I know around Australia there's a lot of fishing for shark fin. I know the Australian Navy do a lot of protection of that in our waters. Yikes.
Shark
I didn't
fins
know
are
that was
very
still a
popular
thing.
in Asia and can be found in food stores, pharmacies, and fishing villages. The demand for shark fins has led
Yikes.
to sharks being targeted solely for their fins. But don't expect to try that soup in the U.S. anytime soon.
No.
The practice of finning is
I mean, that's banned in Australia as well, too. So
illegal in the United States. Ackee appears to be a
Okay.
very delightful and delicious fruit, but appearances can be deceiving. For if the ackee is improperly eaten, it can cause vomiting or even lead to a coma or death. To do it right,
Wow.
you need to know that the ackee's fruit's protective pod turns red and naturally opens, revealing the edible portion, which is the many yellow aril that surround the toxic black seeds. The ackee fruit
okay. There's a lot of toxic in this description. I don't know if I want to try that.
fruit is originally native to West Africa, but was brought to Jamaica in 1778. In
Okay.
Jamaica, the harmful effects of ackee fruit are known as Jamaican vomiting sickness,
Oh.
and they're comfortable enough with it to have made it Jamaica's national fruit. The fruit can
Wow.
be tried in Jamaica paired with codfish, which is a popular dish. In the U.S., however,
Okay.
the FDA banned all ackee, though they later allowed the sale of frozen or canned ackee. The import of fresh ackee is still banned.
Kinder Surprise?
The Kinder Surprise egg is a hollow chocolate egg that holds a plastic capsule
Oh, maybe it's the toy inside.
that contains a toy. The toy
Oh.
is usually a simple collectible, like a tiny bike or miniature beach bucket and pail. They are widely popular and are sold across the world, except in the United States. Not that it's hurting them any. In fact, even without the help from U.S. markets, Kinder sells more than 3.5 billion surprise eggs each year.
Wow.
Kinder Surprise eggs have always been illegal in the United States.
Ah.
The 1938 regulation made it illegal to sell any candy that contains a non-nutritive object. Several efforts have been made to import the chocolate egg into the U.S., but the federal government
So it's not a case of the kids are going to swallow it because it's massive. But okay, that makes kind of sense.
has continued its ban
Okay.
and recalled the item each time. Luckily for
Wow.
U.S. consumers, Kinder also makes the Joy Egg, which is a more recent version that separates the toy from the chocolate in two sealed halves. The Joy Egg meets
Okay.
FDA regulations and is compliant with the Consumer Product Safety Commission.
There's always a way around it, isn't there?
It's not
Always.
exactly the same as the Kinder Surprise.
It's pretty
but
much.
It's close enough so the fans across the U.S. can get their fix.
Hey.
So what do you think? What banned food sounds good to you?
Now, some of those banned foods, obviously pretty obvious. That cheese, I think Sardinians, they obviously love it. It obviously tastes whatever for them. Got that tiny little kind of bite on the tongue. I'm just going to say it looks disgusting. I'm just going to say it. Maggots. Usually maggots means bad. When you say, oh, it's become too toxic, maybe you shouldn't eat it. I don't know. It looks disgusting. I know I've heard of that cheese before. I know there's a lot of bans on it, like even in Sardinia. I don't think you can actually take it on public transport. I think it obviously smells quite a lot. Yeah, that one, pretty obvious. Pretty obvious. Haggis, obviously, being a Scotsman, I eat haggis. You can understand that it's the lungs in it, nothing else. You know, it's always. I always thought it was the sheep stomach, but you know, just the way it's cooked and whatever. But obviously, it's the lungs. It's the. Okay, I understand that. Some of them pretty straightforward. Some of them are obviously from an earlier time, like the Kinder Surprise from 1938 or whatever it was. You know, so maybe they need to revisit those laws and update them. Maybe, who knows? So, but a great list. Like I said, some of them pretty obvious. Some of them are kind of, yeah, maybe it's just maybe updating the laws. Maybe, who knows? So, but let me know. Let me know about that list. Let me know about that cheese. What you thought of that cheese? I love cheese. That just kind of, it's almost ruining it for me. I got to get that vision out of my head before I eat another piece of cheese. So let me know, guys. Thank you very much for joining us today. Make sure you stay safe. And I'll definitely see you in the next reaction video. Oh, you're still here? You want more content? Why don't you check out my Patreon down here? You'll get plenty more content and some exclusive videos over there too. If not, why not check out this one over here?